What if I tell you that sometimes some of our school teachers can cheat in school and do other wrong things during school time? Watch carefully as this story teaches us an important lesson about why, as a parent, you should always check your child's books after school. Once upon a time, in the beautiful and busy state of Anambra, there was a primary school that stood right in the middle of a quiet neighborhood. The school was called Sunshine Primary School. It had a big compound with mango trees by the side, and every morning you could hear the sound of children singing the national anthem and saying their morning prayers before going to their classrooms. The school was known in that area as a very good school. Parents from different streets brought their children there because they heard the teachers were serious and the results were always good. Mothers and fathers would wake up their children early, iron their uniforms, pack their lunch, and walk them to the school gate every morning with joy in their hearts, believing their children were in good hands. Now, in this school there was a teacher. Her name was Miss Chioma. Miss Chioma was not a new teacher. She had been in that school for many years. She knew every corner of that school. She knew which classroom had a broken window. She knew what time the bell would ring, and she knew every child by name. She was one of those teachers the school management trusted deeply. When visitors came to inspect the school, Miss Chioma was always one of the teachers they called forward because she dressed well, she spoke well, and she carried herself like a true professional. Parents loved her. When parents came for PDA meetings, which means Parent-Teacher Association meetings, they would shake her hand and say, "Ah, Miss Chioma, my child talks about you every day at home. Thank you for teaching them so well." And Miss Chioma would smile and nod her head and say, "It is my pleasure. Your children are wonderful." She looked so kind, so dedicated, so real. But under all of that smiling, under all of that fine dressing and sweet talking, there was a very dark secret that Miss Chioma was hiding. You see, Miss Chioma had a daughter. Her daughter's name was Ada. Ada was in Miss Chioma's own class, which already was something the school should have been more careful about, but nobody thought anything of it at the time. People just said, "Ah, that is the teacher's daughter. She is lucky to have her mother as her teacher." But Ada was not brilliant, and that was the beginning of everything. Ada was a sweet girl in her own way. She was not a bad child. She liked to play. She liked to laugh. She liked to draw pictures in her notebook when the teacher was not looking. But when it came to reading, when it came to solving simple mathematics problems, when it came to answering questions in English language or basic science, Ada would struggle. She would stare at the paper, chew her pencil, and write things that did not really make sense. She was the kind of child who needed extra attention, extra lessons, extra patience, and time to understand things properly. There is nothing wrong with that. Every child learns at their own pace. Some children are fast, some are slow, and both can succeed in life if they are guided properly. A good teacher, a true teacher, would have seen this and helped Ada quietly, given her extra lessons, spent more time explaining things to her, encouraged her, and let her grow at her own speed. But Miss Chioma was not thinking like a good teacher. Miss Chioma was thinking like a proud and fearful woman who cared too much about what people would say. She kept thinking, what will people say if they find out that I am a teacher, a class teacher, and my own daughter is failing in my class? What will the other teachers say? What will the parents say? What will the principal say? They will laugh at me. They will say I cannot even teach my own child. They will say I am a useless teacher. That fear, that pride, that shame, sat in her chest and grew until it turned into something very ugly. It turned into greed. It turned into wickedness. And slowly, quietly, without telling anyone, Miss Chioma made a decision that would change many lives. She decided to cheat. The first term came and went. Children wrote their exams. They submitted their papers. And Miss Chioma sat at her desk alone in the staff room after school hours, marking the papers one by one. When she got to Ada's paper, she would change things. She would rub things out with her correction fluid or simply rewrite the scores in the record book with different numbers. Where Ada scored maybe 30 out of 100, she would write 70. Where another child should have been in first position, she would move the numbers around and put Ada at the top. First position. That was what she gave her daughter. first position. Every time, whether Ada deserved it or not, the first term results came out, and Ada was first position. Parents congratulated Miss Chioma. "Your daughter is so brilliant, just like her mother," they said. Miss Chioma smiled and said, "Thank you. Thank you. We thank God." But inside, she knew the truth. She knew those numbers were lies. She knew her daughter did not earn that position. But she told herself it was fine. She told herself it was a small thing. She told herself she would stop after that term. She told herself she would work harder with Ada and help her truly improve. She did not stop. Second term came, and the same thing happened. Ada wrote her exams. Ada did not do well, and Miss Chioma sat alone in that staff room and changed the numbers again. Ada came first position again and again. Parents clapped, teachers nodded, and the school management praised Ada as a fine student. Inside the classroom, some children started to notice that something was not quite right. A boy named Adai knew he had done very well in his mathematics exam. He had checked every answer twice. He had even explained his work clearly. But when the results came out, he was third position. He went home confused and told his mother, "Mommy, I thought I did well." His mother shrugged and said, "Maybe someone else did better. Study harder next time." And Adai, being just a small child, accepted it and moved on. This is what happened to many of the children. They were small. They trusted their teacher, and they had no reason to think that the adult in front of them was lying to them. So they just accepted their results and went home. But every lie has an end date. Now let us talk about the third term, because this is where things began to change. At the beginning of the third term, a new student joined the class. Her name was Nora. Nora had just moved to Anambra from another town with her family. Her father had gotten a new job posting, and the family had to relocate. Nora was not new to changing schools because this was not the first time her family had moved. But Nora was the kind of child who adjusted quickly wherever she went because Nora had something very powerful inside her, and that thing was brilliance. From the moment she could hold a pencil, Nora had loved learning. She loved books. She loved numbers. She loved reading stories and answering questions and finding out how things worked. In her former school, in every single class from primary 1 until she left, Nora had always been first position. Every single term without fail. Her teachers used to brag about her to visiting teachers from other schools. "See this girl? She does not miss a single question," they would say. Now, Nora walked into Miss Chioma's class in her clean uniform, with her new school bag on her back and her lunchbox in her hand. And she sat down quietly and began to learn. Nora's mother, whom everyone in their neighborhood simply called Mama Nora, was not the kind of mother who just dropped her child at school and forgot about everything. No, Mama Nora was what you would call a very involved mother. She was the kind of woman who knew exactly what topics were being taught in school each week. Every evening, she would sit with Nora at the dining table and go through the day's lessons together. She would check every homework carefully, not just to see if it was done, but to know whether Nora truly understood the work. She would flip through Nora's notebooks, read her written assignments, and ask her questions out loud. "Nora, what is the capital of Nigeria?" "Abuja, Mommy." "Good girl. And who is the founder of our school?" "Mommy, that one is in our social studies book. Let me go and check." They would laugh together. It was a beautiful relationship, that mother and daughter. Mama Nora believed deeply that a mother who is not paying attention is a mother who is quietly failing her child. And so she paid attention. She paid very close attention. When Nora settled into the new school, Mama Nora went to meet Miss Chioma personally during visiting day. She introduced herself, asked about the curriculum, asked how the class was arranged, and told Miss Chioma, "Please take care of my daughter. She loves to learn. If she is doing anything wrong, please tell me directly and I will handle it at home." Miss Chioma smiled and said, "Of course, madam. Your daughter is very welcome here." What Miss Chioma did not know at that time was that Mama Nora was going to be paying very close attention from that day forward. The term moved on, and Nora quickly became one of the most outstanding students in the class. Even Miss Chioma herself, deep in her heart, could not deny it. When she asked questions in class, Nora's hand went up immediately. When she gave assignments, Nora's work was always neat and correct. When other children were still struggling to understand a topic, Nora had already understood it and was quietly reading ahead. The other children liked Nora. She was not arrogant or proud. She was warm and friendly. She would help her classmates understand things during break time. She was the kind of student who made a class better just by being in it. But Miss Chioma watched all of this with growing worry in her stomach because she knew that when the exam came, this girl Nora was going to be first position. She could see it clearly. Nora was too brilliant, too steady, too prepared for anyone to beat her honestly. And that meant Ada would not be first. And that meant people would talk. And that meant her secret might start to fall apart. So Miss Chioma made up her mind early, long before the exams even started. She had already decided in her heart what she was going to do. She was going to do what she had been doing. She was going to change the numbers. She was going to give Ada first position again and give Nora something lower so that nobody would suspect anything. She did not think about the consequences. She did not think about the child she was hurting. She did not think about justice or fairness or what was right. She only thought about herself. The promotion examination came. This was not just any exam. This was the final examination of the year. The one that would decide which class each child would move to the following year. It was called the promotion exam, and every child took it very seriously. On the days of the exams, children arrived early. You could see the nervousness on their faces. Some were whispering last-minute facts to themselves. Some were eating their breakfast quietly, staring into the distance, going over things in their heads. Mothers at the school gate were giving last-minute advice. Do not rush. Read the question well before you answer. Check your work when you finish. Nora was calm. Mama Nora had prepared her well. They had spent the weeks before the exam going through every subject carefully. English language, mathematics, basic science, social studies, civic education, verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, every single one. Mama Nora would set little mock exams for Nora at home and mark them herself. And Nora would pass them every single time. On the day of the exam, Mama Nora held Nora's face in her hands before she went into the school compound and said, "Nora, I want you to go in there and write everything you know. Do not be afraid. Do not rush. Just be yourself, because yourself is more than enough." Nora nodded and smiled and walked in. Nora sat down in her seat. The exam papers were shared, and she began. She went through each paper like a child who knew exactly what she was doing. In mathematics, she solved each problem step by step and showed her work clearly. In English language, she answered every comprehension question correctly, and her essay was well arranged. In basic science, she answered every question correctly. In every subject, Nora wrote, and she wrote well. When the exams were done, Nora came out of the classroom and felt good. She felt that happy feeling that comes when you have worked hard and shown it. She went home that afternoon quietly happy. Miss Chioma now had the papers, all of them. She sat alone in the staff room that evening after every other teacher had gone home. She spread the papers on the desk and began to mark. When she got to Nora's papers, she marked them honestly because she needed to see the true scores before she changed them. And as she marked, her hands slowed down because Nora had passed everything, not just passed. She had passed with very high marks. In mathematics, she got almost everything right. In English, she was outstanding. In every subject, Nora's paper was the paper of a child who was clearly, without any doubt, the best in that class. Miss Chioma stared at those papers for a long time. Then she looked at Ada's papers. Ada had tried, but Ada had not done well. Ada had struggled with many of the questions, just as she always did. There was a long silence in that staff room. Outside, the evening birds were making noise in the mango trees. The security man was walking around the compound. Somewhere in the distance, say, generator was humming, and Miss Chioma made her decision again. She took her pen, adjusted the scores, wrote in the record book that Ada was first position, and wrote that Nora was third position. She packed everything into her bag, locked the staff room, and went home. When the results came, children walked into the classroom one by one and received their report cards. There was excitement, and there were tears. Some children jumped with joy. Some looked at their cards with disappointment. Ada received her card, and she was first position again. And Nora received her card, third position. Nora looked at the card. She looked at it for a while. She was not the kind of child who threw tantrums or caused a scene. She was quiet. But there was something in her eyes that showed she did not understand because she had done well. She had known it when she was writing. She had known it in her heart. How was she third? She folded the card carefully and put it in her school bag. She went home. That evening, when Mama Nora sat down with Nora to check the result, everything changed. Mama Nora opened the report card and read it. She read it again. She put it down on the table. She picked it up and read it a third time. Then she looked at Nora. Nora, what happened during this exam? Nora said, Mommy, I did well. I answered everything. I checked my work. Mama Nora sat quietly for a moment. She thought about all those evenings at the dining table. She thought about all those mock exams Nora had passed at home. She thought about how she had personally gone through every topic with her daughter. She thought about the fact that in every school Nora had ever attended, this child had never been anything below first position. And something inside Mama Nora said, No, this is not right. Mama Nora was not a woman who kept quiet when something was not right. She was not aggressive or rude, but she was firm. She believed in justice. She believed that if something wrong had happened, you did not sit at home and swallow it. You went and found out the truth. She stood up from her chair. Nora, get dressed. We are going to that school right now. They arrived at the school that same evening. The gate was still open because some staff were still around finishing end-of-term work. Mama Nora walked straight to the principal's office. Her steps were calm, but her heart was burning. The principal's name was Mr. Okafor. He was a big man with reading glasses that sat at the end of his nose. He was generally a reasonable man, but he was also the kind of man who did not like trouble and did not like to believe that things were going wrong in his school. Mama Nora greeted him, sat down, and placed Nora's report card on his desk. She explained everything. She told him about Nora's history of being first position in her former school. She told him that she had personally prepared Nora for this exam. She told him that something did not make sense, and she was asking that the records be checked. Mr. Okafor leaned back in his chair, removed his glasses, and rubbed his face. He was already tired from the end-of-term work. The last thing he wanted was a parent sitting in his office making accusations. He said, Madam, I understand your concern, but this is a good school. Our teachers are professionals. Perhaps your daughter found this school more difficult than her former school. Perhaps the standard here is higher. Perhaps there are other brilliant students in the class. You should be proud she came third. It is still a good position. Mama Nora did not move. She said, Sir, with all due respect, I am not leaving this office until I see the records. I want to see my daughter's marked exam papers. I want to see the scores. Show me. And if I am wrong, I will apologize and go home. But show me. Her voice was not shouting yet, but it had a kind of quiet fire in it that told Mr. Okafor this woman was absolutely serious. Mr. Okafor looked at her for a moment. Then he sighed, picked up his phone, and called Miss Chioma. Miss Chioma, please come to my office right now and bring the class performance records and the exam papers. There was a pause on the other end of the phone. Then Miss Chioma said, Yes, sir, I am coming. When Miss Chioma walked into that office, she saw Mama Nora sitting there, and something in her chest dropped. Her hands were not shaking yet, but they would be soon. She greeted everyone and placed the files on the principal's desk. Mr. Okafor opened the record book and began to go through the scores. He checked Nora's name. He checked the exam papers that were clipped to the records. He checked the scores subject by subject. The room was very quiet. And then Mr. Okafor stopped. He looked at Nora's exam papers. He looked at the scores written in the record book beside Nora's name. He looked at the scores written beside Ada's name. He looked at other students' exam papers until he saw Ada's actual exam papers. Something was very, very wrong. Nora's papers clearly showed that she had answered almost everything correctly. The marks on the actual papers were high, but the marks recorded in the book beside her name were low. And Ada's papers, when checked honestly, showed that Ada had not scored enough to be first. But in the book Ada was first. Mr. Okafor took off his glasses completely now. He placed them on the desk. He looked at Miss Chioma. He looked at the papers. He looked at Miss Chioma again. Miss Chioma was shaking. Mr. Okafor said in a very low and controlled voice, "Miss Chioma, can you explain this to me?" Silence. "Miss Chioma, the scores on this child's paper do not match what is written in this record book. How did that happen?" Silence. Mama Nora looked at Miss Chioma. Nora, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, looked at Miss Chioma. Miss Chioma opened her mouth. Then she closed it. Her eyes were full of tears. She looked at the floor. Mr. Okafor stood up from his chair slowly. He was a big man. And when he stood up, he filled the room. He said, "Nora's result will be corrected immediately. She is the first position in this class." He turned to Mama Nora and said, "Madam, I sincerely apologize on behalf of this school. This should never have happened. Your daughter is first position, and her result will be corrected, and a new report card will be given today." Mama Nora looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. She picked up Nora's hand and held it. "Thank you," she said quietly. She stood, straightened her clothes, and walked out of that office with her daughter, her head held high. But the story did not end there. After Mama Nora left, Mr. Okafor closed the door to his office and looked at Miss Chioma for a very long time. Then he did something important. He called an emergency staff meeting. That evening, every teacher in that school was called to the staff room. When they were all seated, Mr. Okafor placed Miss Chioma's record books on the table. Not just the third term records, all of them. First term, second term, third term. He said to the gathered teachers, "I want everyone in this room to look at what I have found." The teachers began to go through the records one by one. And as they went deeper, their faces changed. Because this was not just about Nora. This was about many children. Child after child, term after term, scores had been changed. Children who should have been first position had been pushed down. Children who should have failed had been pushed up. A pattern that had been going on quietly for a long time was now laid open on that table for everyone to see. One teacher, an older woman named Mrs. Adiz, who had been in that school for 20 years, stood up and pointed her finger at Miss Chioma and said, "Chioma, how could you do this? These are children. They trusted you. Their parents trusted you. We trusted you." Miss Chioma was crying now. But her tears did not move anyone because tears after being caught are not the same as tears of true regret. Another teacher said, "This school's name, you have dragged it into the mud. All the years we have worked to build the reputation of this place. And you were here doing this." One by one, the teachers spoke. Some were angry. Some were just deeply, deeply disappointed. Because as teachers, they knew how much it meant for a child to earn their position honestly. They knew what it did to a child's confidence, to their growth, to their sense of self when they were told they were brilliant through lies. And they knew what it did to the children who were robbed of what they truly earned. Mr. Okafor let them speak. Then he stood up and made his announcement. Miss Chioma was to leave the school immediately. Her employment was terminated. She was banished from Sunshine Primary School. And her case was to be reported to the state teaching authority so that the matter could be handled at a higher level. Miss Chioma left that staff room that night without her job. without her dignity, and without the respect of every single person who had ever admired her. The news spread fast. You know how news travels in neighborhoods. By the next morning, people were talking in the market, talking at the borehole where women fetched water, talking at the bus stop, talking outside the church gate. You heard what happened at Sunshine Primary School? That teacher, Miss Chioma, they say she has been changing results for years. Her own daughter was sitting in the class, and she was cheating for her. God will punish that kind of wickedness. And it was one new girl's mother that caught her, Mama Nora. She went to that school, and she did not sit down until they checked everything. Thank God for a mother like that. People felt many things. Anger, yes, but also sadness because they thought about all the children over the years who received wrong results and never knew why their honest effort had not been recognized. And Nora went home that evening with a corrected report card. First position, the position she had earned. Mama Nora framed that report card and put it on the wall of their sitting room. Not because it was just a school result, but because it stood for something. It stood for honesty. It stood for the power of a mother who refused to accept injustice. It stood for a little girl who did the right thing and whose right action was finally recognized. On the last day of the school term, when Nora's name was announced at the end-of-year assembly as the overall best student in her class, the entire school clapped for her, and Nora stood straight and smiled. The kind of smile that only comes when you truly know that you earned it. The story of Miss Chioma and Nora became one of those stories that people told in that Anambra community for a long time. Mothers told it to their daughters. Teachers discussed it at professional training workshops. It became a reminder that no matter how clever a lie is, no matter how long it runs, the truth has a way of finding its way out. And it became a reminder of something else too. Something just as important. It reminded people of the power of a parent who pays attention. Mama Nora did not have any special power or connection or money. She was just a woman who watched, who checked, who cared deeply, and who refused to be told that a wrong thing was right. And because of that, justice was done. Lesson. If every parent was a little more like Mama Nora, and every teacher was a little more honest about what their true job is, which is to raise children truthfully, not to use children to protect their own pride, the world would be a much fairer place. Because at the end of the day, a child's result is not about the teacher's reputation. It is about the child's future. And no parent, no teacher, no amount of pride or shame should ever be allowed to stand between a child and the future they honestly deserve.